Born in Manchester, New Hampshire, Gordon Timothy Mickey Cochran grew up in Massachusetts playing and loving sports. While completing a mechanical engineering degree at the University of Vermont, he began skiing at Stowe. Upon graduation, he took a job in Connecticut with Pratt & Whitney Aircraft, but soon returned to UVM to complete a master's degree in education. Born in Heartland, Four Corners in 1928, Virginia Ginny Davis spent her childhood on her parents' farm where she first learned to ski, as well as in Port Orange, Florida, where the family spent winters in the late 30s.
Then I came to UVM and skied at Mount Mansfield. And that's how I met my husband. I was looking for a ride, or my friend and I were looking for a ride up to Mount Mansfield to go skiing. And somebody said, well, I think that Mickey Cochran's going. So we had to flip a coin, and I lost, and I had to call him up. So that's how we met.
Mickey and Ginny met at UVM in 1948 and married in 1949. In 1960, Mickey and Ginny Cochran moved their family to Richmond, Vermont. The children were all skiing with the Madonna Mountain Ski Club, but Mickey wanted a location where they could enjoy skiing right outside the back door. He and Ginny founded Cochran Ski Area in 1961.
It was just a great place to grow up. I mean, Cochran's to me is not just the ski area, it's the whole, the land. I had a horse there. I rode the horse all over the hills and hiked and biked up there, and just, that was our playground. And that's what we did. When we weren't skiing, we were playing.
A mechanical engineer by training who worked for GE from 1958 to 1975, Mickey applied his love for fixing and inventing things to every aspect of the ski area.
I have to say the one that really has inspired me over the last 35 years is my time with Mickey. They built this ski area with, as far as I could see, almost no budget. And building the lifts themselves out of old engines and scrap metal, basically. It's really an incredible story what one guy can really do with just determination is a great thing.
Mickey coached in many capacities throughout his life, from developing dryland training programs for the local 5 to 16-year-olds and setting up the first Vermont Junior Alpine Camp in 1967 to being named the U.S. ski team coach during the 1973 and 74 season.
When the Cochrans did, seriously, when they did come on the scene, they were exceptional. And they totally dominated the majority of the races. I was amazed how they could ride a flat ski. They were so fast on the flats. And that is a technique that Mickey really developed, how to ski on a flat ski.
Dad just had a knack for the psychology of sports. And when he was timing, usually around the third or fourth run, he'd notice that we'd jump ahead quite a bit, and all of a sudden it dawned on him that we knew the course well. So he said, he encouraged us to start memorizing courses before we raced.
While Mickey ran the rope tow and coached the racers, Ginny responded to the community needs.
The Richmond PTA wondered if we couldn't have a school program for ski and school program, so I started that the next year. And we had, I think, between a third and a half of the whole school population taking ski lessons with all types of skis and boots and equipment that you could imagine.
I can remember when Jenny's, the only warming shelter was Jenny's kitchen, and it was unbelievable. There was melting snow about 2 inches deep, with all the children crying because it was so cold, and Jenny was so wonderful letting all those kids in.
I can just picture, the Tuesday night running home from school, just scrambling to get all your homework done and grab a bite to eat, and then the lights came on, and it just seemed like life started. And for 2 hours there were 20 or 30 kids, and you look up and there's Orion in the sky, and it's perfectly clear, and it's always 10 below, it seems like. And my father's out there, probably without gloves on or some sort of loose gloves. But it was just a blast.
I think, it's been said that Mickey and Ginny ran the first ski academy in the state. And, I think that's true. I mean, they raised 4 outstanding, well-educated, world-class athletes. But, they all have normal-sized heads. And, they're still as friendly and generous as they've ever been.
While Mickey and Ginny expanded the ski area and its offerings, their 4 children were off making names for themselves as stars on the international racing circuit. Marilyn Cochran began racing with the Madonna Mountain Ski Club in 1959, 2 years before the Cochran ski area began operations. As the firstborn of the skiing Cochran siblings, she won her first U.S. Junior Championship title in 1966 in the slalom. She was U.S. Giant Slalom Champion in 1968 and in 1974, and the U.S. Slalom Champion in 1972. In 1969, she was the first American to win the World Cup Giant Slalom. In 1970, she won the bronze medal in the combined event at the FIS World Championships, the first U.S. woman to finish on the podium in the combined since it began in 1954. She even won the 1971 French National Championships in the first year that they allowed international entries. Marilyn was named to the 1972 Olympic team and competed in Sapporo, Japan.
I just remember when I first went to Europe, I did not want to lose to anyone. I didn't care that it was a World Cup race or... So the first race in Europe that I ever raced in, I got, I don't know, 10th or 11th in the first GS, and I'd fallen on a little bit on the course, but got up and finished. I probably just went down on my side, but then in the slalom, I was 3rd in the first slalom that I was in. And then I went on to win. I would never won a race, but I fell in all the rest of the slaloms, but I was 2nd in a lot of the GSs, so I won the overall World Cup title in GS that very first year, which was pretty amazing as you think about it. But I was mad most of the year because I never won a race, and I wanted desperate. I just thought I should be winning. It didn't matter if I was at Eastern race or national race or World Cup. I figured if any race I was in, I should win.
Barbara Ann Cochran won her first U.S. junior title in 1966 in the giant slalom. As a member of the U.S. ski team from 1969 to 1974, she was the U.S. women's giant slalom champion in 69 and 70, and won the 1971 slalom championships. Named to the 1972 Olympic team, she brought home the gold medal in slalom, as well as having the honor of carrying the U.S. flag in the closing ceremonies.
After the first run, I was leading by 0.03 of a second, which is not very much time at all. And so the second run, I started to get really kind of nervous. And so then I just had to start thinking. The 2 years before that, I'd been in the World Championships, and I'd come in 2nd. And but after the first run in the World Championships, I was in 6th place. And I studied the course of the second run and memorized it, got to the top of the course, and was looking for my dad, who was in the crowd. And I told him, I said, I'm really nervous for the second run. And he just had a twinkle in his eye and a smile on his face, and he just looked at me and he said, oh, I always thought you were the cool cucumber in the family. So I went, oh, all right, yeah, I am. So I had the second run there and ended up coming in 2nd overall. So in the Olympics, when I started to get nervous, I thought back to that time 2 years before then when I had gotten nervous at the World Championships and just thought about being the cool cucumber in the family, and I won.
Bob Cochran's winning began a year after his sisters with the 1967 U.S. Junior Giant Slalom title. He also was on the 1968 U.S. Alpine squad and was a member of the U.S. ski team until 1974. During his U.S. ski team career, he won 6 consecutive U.S. national titles, and 9 in total. He too was an Olympian on the 1972 U.S. ski team. Finished 8th, he was the top American in the downhill. In 1973, he captured the first World Cup giant slalom by an American man, was the first U.S. skier to win the Hahnenkamm combined, and won an NCAA All-American title in downhill.
Yeah, 73 was probably my best year racing. I won the Hahnenkamm combined and was third in the downhill, and I was always proudest because I beat all the Austrians. Franz Klammer was fourth and I was third, so I thought that was pretty exciting. And I won the NCAA downhill at Middlebury, racing for UVM, my one and only race for UVM. And then at Heavenly I had probably without a doubt, my best weekend of World Cup racing. I was second in the slalom and first in the giant slalom. And for me to win a giant slalom World Cup is unbelievable because I wasn't very good at giant slalom. It was like somehow something clicked. So I guess every now and then you have those days.
Lindy Cochran Kelley first raced in a lollipop race at Mount Ascutney in 1957. From that early beginning, she began winning junior races in 1966, taking the Northern Vermont Council Slalom and the Can-Am Junior Championships. In 1968, she won the Senior Alpine U.S. Slalom Championships. She was a member of the U.S. ski team from 1970 through 1978, the UVM ski team from 1978 through 81, the U.S. National Slalom Champion in 1973, and the Giant Slalom Champion in 1976, and an NCAA All-American in 1979. Named to the 1976 Olympic team traveling to Innsbruck, Austria, she skied to top American finishes in both the slalom and giant slalom.
Lindy and I became very good friends, and we were together when we first got named to the U.S. ski team. We were in Portillo, Chile, and had been invited to go down there to train with the U.S. ski team, and that was a really big deal. And we're sitting in the room, and they named the ski team for the next year. That must have been 1969. And Lindy and I turned to each other and we say, "Did we just get named to the U.S. ski team?" I think we did. So Lindy and I got on the team together, and we raced together for 4 years, and she had great knees. And I remember being at the top of Little Spruce and going, "Lindy, I'm going to follow you, and I'm going to copy making my turns with my knees just the way you do." And we went down the flat of Little Spruce and over the knoll, and I was just really, for the first time in my life, turning my skis really hard following Lindy.
When Lindy resigned from the U.S. ski team in 1978, it was the first time in more than a decade that no Cochran was on the team. Together, Marilyn, Barbara Ann, Bobby, and Lindy won 15 national titles, 7 World Cups, 10 second places, 5 third places, and all 4 were ranked in the world's top seed in at least 2 events. In 1973, the Cochrans earned 216 out of 255 World Cup points scored by the American team. After retirement, they have turned their attention to preserving Cochrans for the generations to come and making ski racing enjoyable for anyone who would like to try.
While competition is important in ski racing, and the Cochran kids are, meaning Bob and all our ski racers, do have a competitive element. One of the things that we've always tried to emphasize is giving kids the opportunity, and that's a part of our being low cost and being available to our local kids, and seeing improvement in kids. And we try to really emphasize and praise improvement at whatever level you're at.
Cochran Ski Area, from the beginning, dedicated itself to serving any skier interested in learning. When Mickey died in 1998, the area was forced to evaluate its status. On December 20th, 1998, it opened as a nonprofit. Cochran's has always been dependent on volunteers, parents, and skiers, so as one supporter said, "It befits a family and a ski area that has always put people and sport ahead of profit."
There's such a love for the sport in this place and in our family, and having that, taking that into racing World Cup and racing on the national team, it's a huge advantage. And I think that's purely a function of the attitude here and the attitude in our family. Winning is great, but they enjoy doing it, enjoy the process.
The Vermont Ski Museum Hall of Fame welcomes Mickey Cochran, Ginny Cochran, Marilyn Cochran Brown, Barbara Ann Cochran, Bob Cochran, and Lindy Cochran Kelley.